All right, welcome back, guys. It's football season here. We have our sports editor, Dave Fawcett, with Inside Nova. This is Inside Nova, Inside the Helmet, where we are talking Northern Virginia high school football, Prince William County high school football, and the week kicks off Friday. We are looking forward to it. We know the countdown has been on for some time here. Dave, let's just jump right in. What is the biggest matchup here in week one for us?
Oh, we got 12 games, so there's a lot to certainly a
Full
lot to
slate.
choose from as far as Prince William area schools. The one I'm looking at, just personally, I'm curious about is going to be Battlefield at North Stafford. This is a matchup from last season's region semifinal at North Stafford won. I think what kind of intrigues me about this is more on the Battlefield side, just because they're always a traditional power. They've always got good coaching, solid core of players coming back. But this year they're going to be starting a new quarterback, a sophomore named Maddox Knowles. He played on the junior varsity as a freshman last year, got in a little bit for mop-up duty in varsity last year. I think he threw 2 touchdown passes in the game, but this will be his first full season, as a true varsity starter. And kind of as a side note to this, he's replacing a young man named Ethan Stoll. I think that's how I pronounce his last name correctly, hopefully, who was the starter last year. But they've moved him to wide receiver, which is certainly a legitimate need as well. Greg Hatfield, who's the Battlefield head coach, really liked the way Maddox was what he was showing during the off season. They just felt more confident with him as he got more confident. And so, he's going to take over. And that's a big, he's certainly got a lot of talent. He's 6'3", he's kind of a traditional drop back guy, but he's still a sophomore. So kind of how things work there. Hatfield's going to take over as or resume his duties as the offensive coordinator this season. Last season, Chris Haddock ran the offense and he's retired. So now Greg is back. And so how these things all work, they've got a couple good running backs coming back in Nate Pollock and Tyler Brown. They're always solid up front on the line, but the quarterback is the key position and no matter what on that offense. So I think seeing what they do with that and kind of how they ease him in is going to be real interesting. North Stafford, went to the state final last year. They don't return a whole lot. Either players graduate or they transfer. They've got a new head coach. So, it'll be interesting what they kind of bring in. But I think from my standpoint, from Battlefield and kind of what they do with the new quarterback, they're solid on defense, and they always are with Noah Glover back, especially their all-state linebackers going to Miami. But watching that quarterback's going to be the kind of the interesting,
especially starting off with against such a powerhouse opponent. He's getting thrown right into it as a sophomore.
Right. So I'm just kind of that to me is going to be a really kind of interesting development. So
and I know you yourself are making it to that game. So we have
we will be covering
ace reporter or ace editor there.
Yeah, we'll be covering that game, and we're going to talk about Woodbridge here in a moment. But we're also going to be at the Stafford at Woodbridge game this Friday.
Okay, well, let's jump into it. And I should say we're going to kind of do some more regular segments this year, break it up and kind of have a regular rundown of items we're going to talk about. This first episode of the season is going to be a little different just because we are kind of doing a season outlook and looking at some storylines, which is what we're going to do right now. Talk about 3 storylines Dave has his eyes on.
So like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk a little bit about Woodbridge. They had a banner season last season, scored a school record number of points, just had a very prolific offense. 4 of those players who were really key to scoring all those points in some way are gone. They've either graduated or they've transferred out. And so one of those is the quarterback, Caleb Tucker, who did graduate. He's now down at Western Carolina, set all sorts of school records in his one season at Woodbridge. Their all-state running back, Marquise Sharp, is transferred out. And their 2 wide receivers, 2 top statistically receivers, brothers, Vinny and Josiah Hill, had transferred out as well. So you'd think you'd look at that and go, wow, what? Then they're really going to be in rebuilding mode, but they're not. While those are key players that they lost, they do have 2 running backs this season. One is Jaden Taylor, who's been a 2-time second-team All-District performer in the last 2 seasons, and they have a newcomer named UG Porter, who was top Osborne last year was their leading rusher, rushed in one game for like 231 yards. So those two guys are gonna really help in the backfield. And then even at the wide receiver spot, they return James Shaw III, who's got multiple Division I offers. Very versatile kid, can do a lot of things. He was second team All-State as a wide receiver, but he's also was All-State as a kick returner, first team All-State as a kick returner. They've got a kid named Zacchaeus Robinson, who was Potomac's leading receiver last year, who's in there. And what's the kind of the newcomer here? This is going to a kid named Malachi Fitzgerald. He's never played varsity football before. He's a junior. This is his first year playing football at Woodbridge, and he's the younger brother of Bishop Fitzgerald, who was Garfield's standout quarterback, who's now a rookie in camp with the Tennessee Titans. Malachi's a little taller than his brother, but he's got the same athleticism. And so they've got pieces there to work with. The one key thing for them is going to be a quarterback. They don't have anyone right now who's got any varsity experience. They got a couple candidates in the running there, one of whom is Caleb's younger brother, Cody, who's a sophomore. So if they can get that situated and kind of ease whoever that is in, they've got some pieces around them to kind of keep them, humming along at a pretty good pace. So that's one. The second one, at least for me anyway, is Potomac. I think this is the team that, especially a lot of teams in the Cardinal, which is the district which Potomac is in, very curious about them. Kind of a dark horse team because of the new head coach they have coming in. This is going to be Marquez Hall, who was at North Stafford, led them to the state final last year. He's now at Potomac. Potomac has really struggled over the last couple of years. They've only had one winning record and one playoff appearance in the last 11 seasons. So Marquez Hall, a reputation for turning programs around. When he was at North Stafford, the first 2 years, they won 119, I believe, and the last 2 seasons, 20-7. So that's going to be, they had a good turnout of kids, including, I think, a number of them who didn't play last season, didn't come out. I think it was almost 100 kids, which is, is a healthy turnout for any high school. And so I think that's good. What they do this season may not be a banner, huge, but they may be building towards something. So that's going to be the second one for me. And the third one is Patriot, only because even though they're a traditional power, this is one of the younger teams for head coach Sean Finnerty in his 8 years there as the head coach. But I don't know how much of an impact that's going to make as far as in a negative way, because Sean's an excellent coach. He has an excellent coaching staff. They've got some key players coming back, including their quarterback, Anthony Mallory, who started last year as a true freshman. Now he's back as a sophomore. They've got Chris Umana, who's a two-way player on the line, very experienced. And they got some up-and-comers that maybe didn't see a lot of playing time last year. Other kids started, or there were some injuries. So I expect them to be right back in the playoff mix. They've made it 10 straight years. I don't see that changing. There may be some teams that might be underestimating them, but they do that at their own peril because, Sean always has his teams ready, whether they're full of experience or inexperienced. They're going to be, they should be in good shape.
Now, I did kind of a theme here of, as you said, these football novices. You already mentioned one. There's another newcomer on the stage who's already generating all kinds of interest from D1 squads.
Yeah. So this young man, his name is Aaron Sarpong. He's a senior at Gainesville High School. He's already, like, as you mentioned, football novice, has 3 Division I offers already. And kind of what's interesting about his story is that he wanted to play football last year as a junior. His parents finally said, fine, you can play. Felt comfortable, even though, the safety and all that. But he was unable to play. He missed all the preseason and like halfway of the regular season because he and his family had to be in his parents' native country of Ghana, Africa, for a family situation. So by the time he came back, he approached Gainesville head coach Trey Cage and said, look, can I still play? Trey was like, well, season's pretty much done, but we'll see what we can do. So they eased him in, played a little bit on JV, or what was left of JV. I think he got 1 snap on varsity, but he worked really hard in the off season because he faced a steep learning curve. He just hadn't done anything really, especially when it comes to tackle football. So really, really worked hard to get himself in a position to be where he's at now. Now, the flip side of this is, and why the colleges are tracking him so closely, is because he's almost 6'4". He's rangy, he's lean, and he's fast, and he's athletic. And, college's size does matter. He's raw, he needs some development, but he's almost 6. They like that. And so that's going to appeal to them. So as long as, there's an understanding, hey, whoever he signs with, it's going to take some time. that's why he's popping up on colleges' radars. I think it's Norfolk State, Georgetown, and William and Mary are the three so far. He'll start this year. He's more of a cornerback. He'll say that he may see someone at wide receiver. He said he's not the best ball catcher. He's better at maybe defending receivers, but with all those traits I mentioned, I think he's going to be one that's going to be really interesting to see. And they certainly are going to count on him a lot, but because of his backstory a little bit, he's a kid a lot of people may not know about because he just hasn't played, but you're going to hear more about him this.
Maybe a bit of a project, but we'll see how his development and growth comes along.
A lot of
a different story a year from now when he's in the college ranks.
Absolutely.
So one thing we are going to do every year, and we did this a fair bit last year, is of course talk about what's in the newspaper this week, what is at InsideNova.com, what you can find through all of our kind of social media feeds. This actually, we kill two birds here, because what's in the paper this week is also going to be a regular segment where we kind of go over our power rankings, our top 5 power rankings across Prince William County high schools. And so Dave, kick us off for the inaugural week 1 power rankings, or I guess,
Starter number 5, right? With the drum roll. So I'm going with Forest Park. They made the playoffs the second straight year last year, but it was a really, they graduated a lot of kids. So they had a new first year coach. Wasn't sure, maybe how, it might take some time, but they had a good year and they made the playoffs. So they graduated some key kids, including Kellen Lewis, who was their primary ball carrier. 2 kids transferred out, would have been impactful, but they got their quarterback back. They've got their 2 starting receivers back. They've got some key pieces, in other positions. And I think, Brandon Benson, who's the head coach there now in his second year, feels very confident, especially with his quarterback, Nathan Song, back, and what Nathan's able to do. He's just able to run. He's able to extend plays. He's got guys he can throw to. They've got 3 young running backs coming in. They're probably split time. They may not be a primary guy like they had last year with Kellen. So I think they feel very good about what they can still do despite, who they lost. At number 4, I had Garfield, another team that's been very consistent, especially in the postseason. They've made the playoffs 6 of the last 7 seasons. Zach Edmonds, another very good coach with a very good coaching staff over there. Against, like any team, you're going to lose some key players, but especially a quarterback. Troy Hamlin graduated, but they have a young man named Dylan Austin who transferred who was Potomac starting quarterback last year. He's in there. They have Warren Freeman, who was their leading rusher, the Division I recruit as well, and he's going to carry the ball a lot more, and he's really, really good. And then they just, again, have key pieces in other places, and I think with the coaching staff, they should be just fine. Patriot, we've talked about, but I'll just say, list them at number 3. Woodbridge, we've talked about at number 2, and then Battlefield, I have at number 1. We mentioned the quarterback and the offense, but even on defense, they've got some really key players coming back, both just returners or kids who were injured last year, couldn't play. So that's kind of how,
I don't think that number 1 is going to surprise much of anyone who pays attention to Friday Night Lights here.
I mean, you can make an argument for Woodbridge. It certainly could be a 1 and 1A, but I think Battlefield, I just, gave them the upper nod there.
They've kind of earned the respect over the past couple of years to default.
And they're still loaded. It's not like it's going on reputation alone. They've got players, and again, an excellent coaching staff. Greg Hatfield is one of the best, and he's got a good staff as well. And it's just they know how to win.
Well, we are going to shut it down here for the first episode of the 2026, 2027 football season. It's exciting. It's still here. I can't believe we're already into August. Guys, please check out InsideNova.com. Pick up the newspaper. Like, follow, subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe to our email newsletters, daily headlines, all that good stuff. You, of course, have Dave's, can't even count the number of awards he has up in the office there, but you have Dave's excellent sports coverage, and along with local schools, local politics, elections coming up, of course, and new businesses, fun features. So go ahead and give InsideNova.com a like, bookmark it on your browser, and we will see you soon. Thanks for joining us. Dave, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Trevor.